We've got multiple things going on with Ubisoft today, including a statement from the monetization director over at Ubisoft, where he's mad about gamers criticizing the company. That looks hilarious. We'll get to that. But first, some financial stuff to go over that also just occurred. Game World Observer says Ubisoft shares soar over 30% as Tencent and Guillemot family reportedly consider a buyout, among other options. This seems awfully convenient, doesn't it? In my opinion, there's also another explanation to this though. Perhaps Tencent and the Guillemot family don't truly intend on taking the company private, and they may just be hoping that this news can run the price up a little bit, and even if the price adjusts after, like if the news doesn't end up, if the buyout doesn't end up happening rather, it still may find support above this 230 area. So putting this news out there could just be a desperate attempt at getting the stock a little bit of traction. Basically putting the stock on life support. But let's take a look at what they say here in the full article. Tencent and the Guillemot brothers, which is owned by Ubisoft founders, is currently in talks with advisors on the company's future. Anonymous sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that they are considering the following scenarios to stabilize the business. 1. Company buyout. 2. Potentially teaming up to take Ubisoft private. The talks are at early stages, so it's unclear whether they will lead to a deal. According to Bloomberg, the parties are also considering alternative options. Both Ubisoft and the Guillemot family declined to comment. And just for a little more context, here you can see some of the top managers over at Ubisoft, as well as members of the board, many of these executive positions indeed held by the Guillemot family. Let's also take a look here at the bottom of the screen at the top shareholders for Ubisoft Entertainment. At the very top, the Guillemot family with rounding down to 14%. And Tencent rounding up there to 10%, making both groups the largest shareholders of Ubisoft stock by far. Of course, there's still another outstanding 75% or so in comparison to all of those combined, they would be a minority. Hopping back over to the article, they further say, this comes just weeks after one of Ubisoft's minority shareholders, AJ Investments, publicly called for taking the French publisher private or selling it to a strategic investor, in addition to other possible actions, such as hiring a new CEO instead of Yves Guillemot. AJ Investments, which gathered support from 10% of the company's shareholders, proposed such radical changes after Ubisoft's market value has more than halved since the start of 2024. The launch of Star Wars Outlaws led to one of the biggest share price drops, with analysts raising concerns over Ubisoft's pipeline. As a result, its stock has plunged to its lowest level since 2013. So yeah, we've talked about that AJ Investments news multiple times already, going through the full statement that they issued and all that, and that could also potentially put more merit into the theory as well. If Ubisoft saw that news when it was occurring, decided, you know what, let's lean into that a bit. In a few weeks, we'll put out some news that we're thinking of buying all the shares back, going private with the company, and there you go. Or maybe they really do end up taking the company private. We'll have to see how it all plays out. For now, I'm not entirely convinced, but I also don't want to spend too much energy trying to analyze Ubisoft's financial situation because it's just such a disaster, man. It's such a mess. Another noteworthy piece of information here at the end of the article, though, they say in 2022, Tencent acquired a 49.9% stake in Guillemot Brothers Ltd for 300 million euros, amid rumors of Ubisoft's buyout also increasing its stake in the French publisher. So these people are largely owned by Tencent. They conclude with this. It's worth noting that Tencent and the Guillemot family are minority shareholders in Ubisoft, currently holding 9.2% and 20.5% of net voting rights, so they will have to gain support from other stakeholders before entering into any deals, whether a buyout or other options. Alrighty, so that's the financial stuff. Now, in the intro, I also mentioned that we'd go over a post from the monetization director over at Ubisoft. He seems very unhappy with gamers criticizing the company. So let's see what he has to say. I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad, ashamed, and sad. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. We all know it. But seeing how gamers, quote unquote, react on social medias, wishing ill fate to companies and people alike, is sad. And not only towards Ubisoft. Even though it is always the vocal minority that express themselves on social media, I was hurt, and ashamed to be a part of this community. Okay, let's pause there already. I like how he says it's the vocal minority who express himself on social media as he's literally making a social media post. It's just funny phrasing, like he missed how that sounded or something. It's also hilarious that he's playing that typical, oh, the industry is just in a rough spot at the moment. Bro, your company, Ubisoft, has been having major financial issues for years. Dude really doesn't want to admit how Ubisoft has been heavily mismanaged, once again, for years, for quite a while. And how they're putting out slop products. That's why people literally coined the term Ubislop. Not to mention numerous statements that executives at Ubisoft have made. Things like, oh, it's a quadruple A game, and gamers need to get used to not owning their games, etc., etc. Then more recently, the complete disasters around Star Wars Outlaws and AC Shadows. And even, for example, doing shady things like all this bot stuff that seems to be going on. and allegedly colluding with the New York Times to put out that hit piece against gamers that dismisses all criticism towards AC Shadows is just hate. We could go on and on and on, but let's return to his statement. See what else he has to say. A few more paragraphs to that. We left off here where he said, I was hurt and ashamed to be a part of this community. Now he says, what is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn and seeing the same comments from people within the industry, on top of exposing yourself as a clearly non-decent human being. You are affecting thousands of employees that are already impacted by all the hate, despite doing their best to deliver incredible experiences. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they do not cater to you, or that the product does not please you, is beyond me. We are all in the same boat. Please, 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 stop spreading hate. We should all uplift each other instead of bringing each other down. Okay, my gosh. This is giving me flashbacks to Concord, where that Amanda Kiefer lady, senior concept artist for Firewalk Studios, was making that long rant, basically saying like, no, you're not allowed to criticize Concord and the character roster because we all have livelihoods. We need to make money. And it's like, yo, we all need to make money. But that doesn't mean nobody is allowed to get criticized when they do a bad job on things. In my opinion, these people come off very manipulative. Like going back to this monetization director over at Ubisoft, which, by the way, let's talk about how ironic that is. This guy's mad about people criticizing Ubisoft, trying to say it's all just hate, and you simply don't like the product. You know, a lot of the criticism towards Ubisoft is also with their monetization strategies being very predatory. And here we've got the monetization director at Ubisoft trying to spin this all in a way where he's really the one who's a victim. Checking out a few of the most liked responses to that post, we've got this one, quoting his part where he says, how can you wish a company to fail? This person saying, well, let's see. When the company continually gaslights me, makes me waste my increasingly hard-earned money by not being upfront about a buggy and defective product, not liking the political agendas they inject into games, charging me increasingly more for half-complete experiences, while expecting me to pay even more for the rest of the game, yeah, I'm kinda gonna want that company to go down in flames. Another quoting the part where he said, I was hurt and ashamed to be a part of the community. This person just saying, get out. And then we've got the 4th grade teacher reference here, getting owned by the 4th grade teacher reference. Says, as my 4th grade teacher would always say when I made excuses for not doing my homework, too bad, so sad, you get an F. No way. 4th grade teacher said that. Too bad, so sad, you get an F. Stop making excuses and just deliver a good product. And regarding Ubisoft overall, I also saw this post going around, thought this was pretty funny. This meme says, Ubisoft CEO saying, in today's challenging market, gamers are expecting extraordinary experiences. Delivering solid quality is no longer enough. And the OP saying, bro, just make good games and release it on Steam. It's not rocket science, I promise you. And the meme going on to say the extraordinary expectation and showing a number of highly successful games, many of which are indie games. Yeah, these executives at Ubisoft, man, they're something else. I don't know what's wrong with these people. I'm going to leave it there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in the next one and have a wonderful weekend.